Kaviraj to worship the lotus feet of Nandana, and what happens? The result is that one becomes fearless. And how does that happen in this material world, which is filled with fears and which is filled with the object that create fear? So in spite of that, when we take the shelter of Nandana's lotus feet, we become fearless. There's so many types of fears. We have finances, relationships, and we have health issues and death and dying and political instability. There's so many fears. But here, the fearlessness is promised, as is promised by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita so many times. Especially at the end of the Gita, in the 18th chapter, Krishna says that, Machitta Sarva Durgani, Mad Prasadat Tarishyasi. If you pay attention to me, if you take my shelter, then only you will survive this ocean of material birth and death. You will survive. He promises 100 times, and otherwise you will be in trouble. You will not be able to cross over the material ocean. So here's the support system. How do you connect it to your life? This taking shelter of Krishna makes you fearless. And the process is like taking the support system of Krishna. Because when we take shelter of Krishna, we are diverting our attention from unnecessary anxieties, overthinking of these problems, and we connect to Krishna. And in that process, we take exclusive dependence on Krishna. At least we try to take it. That's the training we do. And by Krishna's grace, then we get the enlightenment, and we get a strength to respond to our situations, not to react, but to respond to our situations in a way that we can make sense. We can keep peace with ourselves. And in this way, we can become fearless. That is the process. And Krishna also says that when you become my devotee, I give you the buddhi, I give you the dami buddhi yogam. And that's how we can survive in this fearful world. And even, some of the devotees may already be chanting a particular prayer to Lord Nrsimhadev, which is also promising the fearlessness. In the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Prahlad Maharaj's particular prayer, Om Namo Bhagavate Narsimhaya Namas, Tejas Tejase Avir Avir Bhava. That particular verse, it says that to Lord Nrsimhadev, that by your mercy, we may become fearless in the struggle for existence in this world. So there is a lot of discussion in all these scriptures about this particular aspect of being fearless, becoming fearless. And here again, Narottam Govinda Das Kaviraj is mentioning about training the mind. You train the mind how do you take shelter and how do you become fearless. So what is being spoken here is in the next line, Durlabha Manava Janama Satsange. The two things. There's rare human birth and the association of saintly devotees. So rare human birth, we all know that human race is in minority in the universe. It's 8.4 million species of life, we are only 400,000, and that too, it's very complicated all over the universe. So it seems like we are not in majority, we are in minority, even though we look like we are in majority. And Srila Prabhupada has so much emphasized that human life is very rare. Please use it very carefully. And in this way, also, the poet is saying the Manav Janma is very durlabha, very difficult to obtain. So you take a note of that, and also satsanga. And that is a transformation of your desires, where your journey is going. So these are the two things that are emphasized in this particular verse, the rare human birth and association of good devotees. So satsanga is the association of people who are seeking for the sat. The sat is the eternality, the spiritual life, and those who are seeking for, aspiring for that, you become associated with those people, and that's how you get attached to those people. And that is the key to transforming your desires. Spiritual desires, right? And in the association of pure devotees or spiritually minded people has been very much emphasized in our Srimad Bhagavatam also. There is one section where Lord Kapila is discussing with Devahuti, and there's a particular verse that says, where Lord Kapila Dev is explaining to Devahuti that in the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing, and it's satisfying to the ear and to the heart. And by cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced in faith, then is fixed in attraction, and lastly, one gets the real devotion and devotional service. So the association of devotees has been emphasized by Srila Prabhupada when, very much in the beginning when he established Iskcon, because that was the real purpose of offering association of devotees to everyone. And this particular song, he was speaking in 1967 in San Francisco. He was talking on the purport right after establishing Iskcon. He was giving the purport on this particular verse, and he was emphasizing this satsanga aspect that one can find in association of the devotees in Iskcon. So here, even every Sunday when we come together, we have the satsanga and we do benefit from each other. So in satsanga, what happens is that the first thing is that we understand the importance of satsanga. Otherwise, we would probably not understand how the world drags us into our own mind and the world. Together, we are into lower modes of nature, we go. But satsanga, first of all, we understand the rarity of this opportunity. And then we remember and then we relish the importance of satsanga in this way. And we can move on to the next verse now, where it says, I'm going to move to the next slide. Shita atapa batabari sanam edina jamini jagire. Shita atapa batabari sanam edina jamini jagire. Vifale se vinu kripana durjana. Vifale se vinu kripana durjana. Chapala sukhala bala gire. Chapala sukhala bala gire. Bajahure mana Srinandanandana Abhaya charanara vindure. Bajahure mana Srinandanandana Abhaya charanara vindure. Day and night I remain sleepless, suffering heat and cold, wind and rain. For a bit of flickering happiness, I have vainly served wicked and the miserly men. So here is the pondering upon the dangerous position of our own selves and the frustration that we get in this unfit world. And we all know dualities, 3 types of dualities, right? So the miseries, the 3 types of miseries that attack us constantly. Right, the misery is coming from our own body and mind, the misery coming from the society and the other living entities, and the misery is coming from the providence or the higherly planets. So here they speak about having sleepless nights and days, which means basically the anxiety. And we are in this way serving Kripanas and Durjanas. So let's see who they are, the Kripanas and Durjanas. So Kripana has been mentioned in Bhagavad Gita also by Arjuna. They are the misers. And they are miser in their spiritual understanding. They are misers about their spiritual, because they have blocked their consciousness into material activities and material things. So that's how they are miserly holding on to their whatever they have. And they are materialistic people who have consciousnesses completely blocked into their material activities. And Durjanas are those who are immoral, they are cheaters. So you can find them, a lot of them in this material world, right? But beginning, it's interesting to think, instead of others, first of all, the Kripana and Durjana are our own senses. And we are serving them as Kripana and Durjana. Because we have miserly mindset, and we are cheating ourselves in different ways, even though we understand the lessons of the Gita, but we ignore them, we forget them, we keep on doing whatever our mind tells us. And in this way, all our mind and senses are become like Kripana and Durjanas, and we are actually serving them. And then there could be other people, the relatives, the friends, the society, your company, corporate world, everything, because that's what is meant by we are helplessly and hopelessly serving them, because we are not paying good attention to we are not putting our great focus on our spiritual progress. And in this way, we have all the pain but no gain. And they're talking about flickering happiness, flickering happiness is very interestingly discussed in the Gita, and Krishna several times has mentioned what is the real happiness in the Gita. He has used different terms to explain the word real happiness, and in this way we can understand the lessons of the Gita, which is parallel to this. And especially for the next verse, there is a great reference again to this temporariness, the flickering temporariness of this material world. So let's go to the next verse. E dhana yauvana putra parijana ithe ki ache paratiti ithe ki ache paratiti re. E dhana yauvana putra parijana ithe ki ache paratiti re. Kamala tala jala jivana tala mala, Kamala tala jala jivana tala mala, Bhajahu hari padani tire, Bhajahu hari Bhajahu re mana Srinandanandana, Abhaya charanara vindure. Bhajahu re mana Srinandanandana, Abhaya charanara vindure. What assurance of real happiness is there in all of one's wealth, youth, sons, and relatives? This life totters like a drop of water on the lotus petal. Therefore, you should always worship the lotus feet of Lord Hari. So the great significance in saying that this, not just what is mentioned here in the past verse, that Vifale sevin krupana durjana chapala sukha labalabi. So we spoke about for the bit of flickering happiness we spoke about, right? But here what is being said, that the life itself is flickering. Not just the happiness, but the life itself is so insignificant, so delicate, and it's very, very flimsy. It can anything can happen within a second, and especially when I think I lock myself in a metallic box and I'm chasing at the velocity of 80 miles an hour. I'm talking about my car. So that's sometimes you feel, oh my God, what am I doing if it's very scary. The whole life is very, very flickering. It's very, very scary the way we live. It's very much tottering. It's a beautiful metaphor that the Kaviraj has given about the lotus leaf or the lotus petal, where the drop of the water, it totters. There's no grounding for the drop. It can drop, it can fall down any minute, and that's done. So similarly, this life has no basis. It's just the lump of flesh and blood that we are carrying in our bodies, and it's so scary that anything can happen anytime, and there's no guarantee of anything. There's been mentioned in this verse particularly, there's no guarantee that you will gain anything out of this whole exercise of being in the bodily consciousness. And interestingly, in the Bhagavad Gita also, they have used Krishna has used the same metaphor of lotus petal. And anybody remembers that particular phrase? Padma Patra Ivambhasa. So there's a little bit different reference in the Gita. It speaks about how the sins are washed away like the drop of the water on the lotus. And here it's being spoken about the life, how life is so temporary that it can just go away, just like the water on the lotus leaf. So Krishna has mentioned many times this particular aspect that what we sang just now, Kamala Dalajala Jivana Talamala, which is like life is, what they say is, there is no assurance of real happiness, of everything that we see as valuable, our sons, our wealth, our families, our businesses, our everything, because the life totters like a drop of water. That's what we, like on the lotus feet. So, in the Gita, Krishna says, Dukkhalayam Shashvatam, right? But again, in that particular verse, it's 8.15, it says that, Namupetya Punarjanma, Dukkhalayam Shashvatam, Napnuvanti Mahatmana Samsiddhim Paramam Gatim. So even though Krishna is speaking about Dukkhalayam Shashvatam, he's speaking about how the world is miserable and is temporary, his main purpose is to point to the association of devotees, taking the bhakti process, and then getting liberation from this process. So in the same way, the Kaviraj here is mentioning that even though jivana is talamala, even though life is flickering and everything, what do? You take Haripada Niti. You take the shelter of Lord Hari. So it's very similar. And basically taking shelter of Lord Hari is basically discipline the mind and worship Krishna. And in that way, you can unlock the consciousness and move on to your spiritual transformation. So at the end, there is a conclusion by Krishnadas, not Krishnadas, but Govindadas Kaviraj, about what can be done. Now, we spoke about training our mind, and we reflected upon the temporariness of the happiness. We reflected upon temporariness of the life and taking shelter of Krishna. Now, how do you do that? Is being mentioned in the next verse, or whatever they call it. Shravana Kirtana Smarana Vandana Pada Sevana Dasyare. Shravana Kirtana Smarana Vandana Pada Sevana Dasyare. Pujana Sakhi Jana Atma Nivedana Govinda Sakhi Jana Atma Nivedana Govinda Dasa Abhilashare. Govinda Dasa Abhilashare. Bajahure Mana Srinandanandana Abhaya Charanara Vindure. Bajahure Mana Srinandanandana Abhaya Charanara Vindure. Govinda Das longs to hear the glories of Lord Hari, chant his glories, constantly remember him, offer him prayers, serve his lotus feet, become his servant, worship him, serve him as a friend, and completely offer him his very self. So in this way, Kaviraj has outlined how to practice bhajana kriya. And it says Govinda Das Abhilasha. So this is the aspiration of Kaviraj. This is the desire. This is the ambition. Srila Prabhupada was speaking especially about this ambition when he was giving purport in 1967, about the hope, the desire that one can keep by adopting this bhajan kriya. And we all know this is spoken by Prahlad Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam, but originally Prahlad Maharaj learned it from his guru, Narad Muni. So it's coming from Narad Muni. And these are the activities. So it's not just the desire, but something practical that needs to be done. And that's why it's being spoken here, that these are the activities. And these activities, they will bring us closer to Krishna. They establish a communication with Krishna, because Shravanam, Kirtanam, these are the very personal things that we can do in direct communication with Krishna. And then that's how we can come closer to Krishna. And, so this is the bhakti aspiration of Govinda Das, and you can see the desire and actual execution. So these are the two things that are going together, and that's how expected. We are also expected to do the same thing, and like there are so many examples of great personalities that are given to connect these activities. We know Shravanam is who is connected with Shravanam. Parikshit Maharaj. Kirtanam is Shukadev Goswami. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. Prahlad Maharaj Vishnu Smaranam. Padasevanam Lakshmi Devi. Archanam Prithu Maharaj. Vandanam is Akrura. Dasyam and Atmanivedanam. Bali Maharaj. So you have 100% marks. So these are the activities, but again, if we want to bring them at our level, we are not Lakshmi Devi, we are not Akrura or anybody else. So for us, this is the devotional service package given by Srila Prabhupada. He particularly kept us in mind at what level we are, how much entangled we are in this life, and how much can we do, how much is our capacity. So he has given this program where we all come together on Sundays and we learn about that. Shravanam, we study the Gita, we read Srimad Bhagavatam, Kirtanam, we chant. Offering our prayers can be a part of our daily activities, where you can have a set time to offer something from your own heart, in your own words. And we can also use the prayers of these great personalities like Kunti Devi and Prahlad Maharaj and many other personalities. We have deity worship as much as we can do at home in the temple. So that's our Archanam. With Dasyam, we are all here to serve each other. We serve the temple. And that's how we serve the Lord. And Atmanivedanam, the full surrender, that is something very personal. That is your own internal surrender to Krishna. And for that also, there has been a very detailed definition given in the Lord Chaitanya's teachings. How do you know you're surrendering? How do you measure your surrender? Are there any yardsticks? So there are 6 yardsticks where you do everything that is favorable to Krishna. You avoid everything that's not favorable to Krishna's service. You become humble and meek. You become exclusively dependent on Krishna. You have no separate interest from Krishna. So whatever is Krishna's interest for you, that is your interest. That is one of the ways of surrendering. And I think there's one more, where you request Krishna as a part of your surrender. You depend on Krishna, that Krishna will remove your illusion. So that's one of the ways. So there are 6 yardsticks, and you learn about them from the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and then every day we could go through that list in our own mind, asking Krishna or asking ourselves, did I do anything like that? Did I meet any of those criteria that are given about surrender? And again, at times like this, when there's a year-end change, like there's a change of the year, and everybody is coming together, there's a way for us, there's a time for us to sit down and reflect as to, okay, where is my Atmanivedana? How is it going? Ask yourself, ask your husband, how's my surrender? How's my spiritual progress going, or anybody else? So this is how we can connect to this 9 processes. And I think there's one reference somewhere. Srila Prabhupada makes something. I missed it. Anyway. So this is the conclusion. Let's look at the conclusion that we looked at how the material world anticipates some transformation when there is a change in the year. There's so much of celebration. There are some vague ideas about something different will happen in 2020. But when we saw, in case of devotees, we take basically this time as taking the stock of our spiritual life and seeing where is the real transformation that's coming. And out of the various tools that are available to us in our sadhana bhakti, we use this poetry of the great acharyas as one of the items for realizing for going closer to Krishna. And that's our aspiration for our internal progress, irrespective of our worldly situation. So that's one other point I would like to mention before I close, is that Govinda Das poet, Kaviraj, has very much recognized the nature of this world. It's going to be the duality of heat and cold. It's going to be the duality of happiness and distress. And there will be people around you who will not be necessarily the devotees. There will be all kinds of people. There will be flickering happiness, which means your happiness will end and miseries will come and the miseries will end. So all these things are very much recognized, which means they will be there in our lives. Krishna consciousness does not mean that they will go away. They will be very much there, but by doing bhakti, by doing sadhana bhakti in the shelter of Srila Prabhupada, what we do is we get the way to respond to our miseries. How do you respond to our miseries? That strength is given by Krishna. By taking shelter of Krishna, we are able to aspire, we are able to get this. And that is how we can take these songs to our heart and cherish them. We can sing them every day with our kids in our home as a part of our arati. Sometimes, we could introduce one song every day or one song every week. Not every day, but every week we could sing one song. We could really go deep into the meaning of these songs, of these Vaishnavacharyas, and we can recall what verse of the Gita connects to that particular point in that song, and that could be a great exercise, the study exercise for the whole family. And that's a very creative way, I guess, we could use these songs. And with that note, I will stop. I don't know how much time is it, but if you have any comments or if you have any suggestions, you have any realizations that you would like to share, if we have time. I don't know what time is it. You have time. Okay. One interesting point I remember, actually, when Srila Prabhupada was speaking to devotees sometime in 1969, I think I saw that on the Veda base, that there are 26 qualities of Vaishnavas. And when Srila Prabhupada was listing those qualities, he said the Vaishnava Acharya, or not Acharya, but a Vaishnava should be a poet. And the devotees were very surprised, like, what? They have to be a poet? How come that? So Prabhupada mentioned that, yes, that's one of the qualities and that's, that big, and why it has to be a quality of a Vaishnava, he explained. He said that the devotee or the Vaishnava has a very deep love for the Lord, and when that deep love is occupied in the heart, it comes out in a way of poetry. And that's how it becomes the quality of a Vaishnava to be a poet. So it's interesting, right? Yes, sir. You want the mic?
Thank you very much. All these 9 processes, some or other reflected in Sikshastaka as well. Is that right? Can you talk a little bit about it? All those 8 verses, everybody knows, are kind of at the root of our sadhana. All those 9 verses. Like the first one, Chet Darpanam Arjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirbhapanam Sreyo Kairav Chandrika Bitaranam Vidya Bodhu Jivanam Anandambadi Vardhanam Pratipadam Punam Nita Sadhanam. That itself has quite a few points of those 9. That probably has most of it, and others are all following like that. So almost this 9 Sikha
Thank you.
Probably has close relationship.
Yeah, that's a great point, and that's a great homework, because I like to give homework. So everybody can go home and see how that point makes sense to you, as how Shikshashtakam reflects the 9 processes of devotional service.
Even the last one is probably the complete surrendering.
Yes. Very nice reflection.
The 8th one, the Ashlishava Padaratang Pinostuma Mad Darshanat Marmohatang Karotuva Jatha tata va vidodhat lampoto mat pranatostu saevonaporo. You are my Lord unconditionally.
So where do you connect that? Which
Connecting.
devotional service you connect it to?
Probably with the Atma Nivedanam.
Sure.
Probably
So
the
yeah,
Radharani
that's a great point, and yeah, everybody can really go through that and reflect on how they find the connection there. Yeah. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much. Just wanted to say thank you for the class, and also what you said at the end about how Krishna consciousness does not remove our miseries, but helps us to determine how best to approach them, respond to them. I just wanted to connect that to what we're speaking about with these different processes of bhakti. How can they make their way into our kind of our approach of everything? So we have our direct devotional service, but also how can these processes make their way into our daily dealings? I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, as I mentioned, in our daily life, we can incorporate these aspects of 9 services, and we can be really creative in that. There could be prayers. Prayers are a big thing, big part of our nine processes, and there could be early morning prayer to begin our day. There could be end of the day prayers. There could be just before the lunch prayers. So this prayer aspect we can incorporate in this way. Let's take something else. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. Smaranam and prayers can go together. When we have pictures in the house of Krishna, of his Leelas, every time we go up and down the stairs, we look at the picture. And literally at that moment, we can offer a garland, mentally. So that's our Smaranam. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam. I was thinking about Pada Sevanam. Ample opportunities in the temple where you Pada Sevanam of the devotees, the serving the other devotees, and learning the humility in that is Krishna's Pada Sevanam. Dasyam. Again, all your activities in your life, every day you can contemplate as to how I am the servant of Krishna. I'm not the servant of person X or Y. They could be our spouse, they could be our children, they could be our relatives, anybody. But really, I'm not their servant. I'm not serving directly them, or I'm not taking any service to them, but I'm actually directly serving Krishna, and in that process, I'm serving them. So every time we can bring Krishna in the picture, and especially when there are unpleasant events, unpleasant situations where there is a conflict, there's a some problem in the relationship, that is a time when we can really, really think of this dasyam, where who am I? What am I really doing here? And in that way, when we serve another person, even though in conflict, that service is for pleasure of Krishna. And that will meet the criterion of Srimad Bhagavatam verse that everything we do has to be Haritoshanam. It has to be, and at the end has to be pleasure of Krishna. And that's how we can be his servant. So even though I'm in conflict, even though I am facing an unpleasant event, every time I'm the servant of Krishna and I'm doing it for his pleasure, not anybody's, or not for my. So those are, so the field is wide open. You can be as creative with your own life as to how do you incorporate these 9 services. That's why I said they are not theory. They are not just like, okay, Prithu Maharaj, Lakshmi Devi, they are there. I don't think I can do. It's not that. It's not that. Otherwise, Prahlad Maharaj would not have spoken about that. They are for us. And it's up to us how we incorporate. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you very much. You talked about fearlessness as the potency of the prayers, and just now you mentioned the point regarding continue to practice in the situations of conflict or when things are not really going our way. So what I have observed is our bhakti stays good if things are going our way, but if something unnatural happens, especially with the near and dear ones, our bhakti kind of goes for a toss and it becomes very difficult to, in a practical way, have that firm faith stay there. So that fearlessness, how does it come in those real tough situation as an individual?
So, as you mentioned yourself, it's a practice. It doesn't come overnight, but it comes by, first of all, I can say about myself, rather than saying you or you. What happened with me, I can say.
Yes.
First, I definitely spent some time on understanding the philosophy because I thought that was the beginning for me to understand the real philosophy. Because unless we understand what are we going to implement? So that comes, association of devotees is a great tool because you observe people, how do they deal with these things and how Krishna reciprocates with them. That confirms our faith. That confirms our faith. And as we progress in bhakti, as we continue our sadhana bhakti, in my case, I tried to develop this particular feeling of exclusive dependence on Krishna. And when we are exclusively dependent on Krishna, we get that feeling that He is going to take care of it. Because I'm depending on Him. I have nothing. I'm doing my best as according to my mind and intelligence that's given to me. But ultimately, it helped me a lot with this particular feeling of exclusive dependence on Krishna. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Especially for a neophyte.
Especially for the neophyte.
Who has not understood the philosophy completely, who has just started, but then something happens and then you deviate.
And that's why when you come on a regular basis, you hear from different people, you hear from Maharajas, and they mention that when you start bhakti and there is a problem, that is your test. Krishna will test you. He will see where you are going. As you said, when you do bhakti and something goes wrong and then my bhakti moves, shakes. So Krishna says, yeah, he's not ready yet. So he will test you. So if you somehow persevere in that situation and continue with some faith, and as you said correctly, the whole foundation is the faith. So it happens. Trust me and trust Srila Prabhupada. Trust all the Maharajas that they speak, all the devotees' experiences. If they have gone through that, if they have gained the fearlessness somehow, you will also. I don't know if I have any other answer. Do you think you have any other answer?
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Hi, Yvonne.
Should I take a mic or you can hear me?
I can hear you.
I'll narrate one incident which happened with me.
Sure.
And I have, thank you. This is the incident which happened with me. I have Bal Gopal in my altar in the temple of my house. On a work assignment, I was going to Bombay for 15 days, and I just came from lunch at office. My luggage was there at home. The taxi was waiting to take me to the airport. And as I was leaving, I heard Gopala telling me that I want to go, I want to go, and like screaming. So I went out and then I came back again. And I picked up Gopala in my hand. I put him in my purse, and I just got into the taxi. And all the way from home to the airport, I was telling him constantly that I'll be eating vegetarian in the plane. If anybody sits next to me, eats non-veg, I cannot do anything. There is nothing I can do. So I went to the airport. I took my seat, and then I went inside the plane. And this is something I don't know how to explain it. I was sitting on the 3 seats aisle. The most corner seat was mine. The last seat in that aisle was that of a priest from Hare Ram Hare Krishna from Iskcon.
wow.
And the middle seat was empty all through the way.
Oh, wow.
So
Amazing.
I made him, thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I made Gopala sit on the middle seat, and the priest from Iskcon was constantly taking pictures and giving him milk and what have you. And, this is how he traveled with me. I got tears in my eyes. I don't know how to explain it.
Absolutely.
So I would want you to tell me something about
Thank you so much
it.
for sharing that.
Thank
It was
you, thank
very
you.
hilarious. Yes, Krishna is there in our journey. You got that. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Let's thank Mataji for a wonderful class. 3 times Haribol. Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. So I would suggest that this song is a beautiful song, especially you hear from Prabhupada. Tears will roll. So if you hear from Prabhupada, how he sings, so much in deep, loving, you have to hear from Prabhupada. So, and then you should play this while you are taking bath. Many people may complain, you don't have time. Yes, while taking bath, you have time. So at least 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you play this song. So then your time is not wasted and you are getting direct association with Prabhupada. This is a really beautiful song. When you hear from Prabhupada, you will know what it is. Today's Sunday feast is sponsored by 2 families.